Welcome to Practice Worksheet 5. Today we're going to be working with the distributive property. You're going to want to have your notes real handy when we go through this worksheet because they're going to be very helpful. For the first problem especially, you're going to want to look at the box on the second page of your notes. Let's start with question number 1. We'll do the box that is circled in green together, and then you can do the other one by yourself. For each expression below, indicate whether or not you could simplify it using the distributive property. So as I said, we're going to be using that box on your second page of notes to really help us figure out which of these is and which of them isn't. Let's look at the first one. We want to see whether the operation inside the parentheses is addition and subtraction and the one outside is multiplication. For this one, it's a yes. So we can go ahead and write yes in the first box. The second one, we see multiplication on the outside, but division on the inside. We can't have that, so it's not using distributive. For number 3, we see that addition and subtraction is on the inside, but we have subtraction on the outside. So that's a no too. Let's look at the last one. We have subtraction on the inside of the parentheses and multiplication on the outside. So that's a yes too. Go ahead and do the other one on your own. Let's look at number 2 together. Simplify each expression below using the distributive property. Now when I do the distributive property, I like to draw little arrows for myself to remind me that I'm multiplying both numbers by the number on the outside. And then I go ahead and rewrite my problem so that I'm ready to do it. 3 times 6 minus 3 times 2. Go ahead and solve that. You should have an answer of 12. Let's do E. I'm going to draw my little arrows again and rewrite my problem. 4 times 5 plus 4 times 3g. Make sure you keep your operation symbols as they are inside the parentheses the same as outside. And I can't simplify my problem anymore because 20 doesn't have the variable. Let's move to H. This one has 3 terms inside parentheses, so I'm going to multiply each of those terms by the number 4. Then I'll go ahead and simplify my problem by multiplying 4 times 9, which is 36, plus 4 times 8, 32, and I gotta include my variable a, and then 16r. And I can't simplify it anymore because I have different variables on each number. Perfect. Now, let's do our fraction problem. Same thing as all the other ones, we're just gonna distribute the 1/2 to each of those numbers and rewrite our problem. 1/2 times 10 minus 1/2 times 14h. Now really, you're dividing each of those numbers by 2, right? When we multiply by fractions, we can really divide the top number by the bottom number. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. 5 minus 7h is my answer. Let's move to the second page. Here we have all 4 different properties that you should have reviewed in your notes and in math class. I'm not going to read each of them, you can read the definitions, but on the side here we're going to go over each property inputting real numbers for our variables to help us understand a little bit better. So the commutative property, we have a plus b equals b plus a. I'm going to say that a equals 3 and b equals 2, so I can write my problem as 3 plus 2 equals 2 plus 3. Each of them equal 5. That's the commutative property. The associative property, we have 3 numbers, as you can see that I boxed the equation. Let's rewrite the equation over here using the numbers that I've created for A, B, and C. So we'll have 3 plus 2 inside the parentheses there, plus C, which is 4, equals 3 plus 2 plus 4. When we combine both of those sides, we'd have 5 plus 4 on both sides. We'd have 5 plus 4 on one side and 3 plus 6 on the other. They each equal 9. That's how we get the correct answer. Let's look at the identity property. Our problem here is x plus 0 equals x. So we're just going to write 5 plus 0 equals 5. We know that's true, right? 5 equals 5. And then lastly, the property we've been talking about, the distributive property. I'm going to plug in 4 as my variable here. 3, and then a plus 2 equals 3a plus 6. Let's go ahead and plug in 4. Draw my little arrows to remind myself I'm distributing. So I have 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 times 2 is 6, equals 12 plus 6. Each of them equal 18, so I know that my problem is correct. Let's just look at 3 of these different problems here, and then you can do the rest on your own. Let's look at number 4. 1x equals x. To help myself figure this out, I'm going to create a number for x. X equals 4. So 1x equals x. 1 times 4 equals 4. 4 equals 4. Based on the properties above, I'm going to say this problem is using the identity property. So I'll go ahead and write identity on the line beside it. Let's look at number 6. Now this problem is a little tricky. It looks like it could be using the distributive property because we have multiplication on the outside and addition and subtraction on the inside, but really when I look more closely, they're just switching the position of x and y. Let's look at our properties. The commutative property is talking about 2 numbers where the order is switched. That's what they did. So this must be using the commutative property. Let's look at number 10. 2x plus 2y equals x2 plus y2. This is a little confusing too, but I think that it's doing the same thing as the other problem, just switching the numbers around. So it would be the commutative property again. Have fun finishing your worksheet.